The reason you're not getting clients might have nothing to do with your strategy and everything to do with the energy and intention behind your work. In this video, I will give you the most pivotal mindset shifts required to achieve success and earn more money, but not through aggressive selling or being super competitive, but rather being more magnetic, being more of service to others, and being more in flow state. So if you're a creator, if you're a aspiring business owner, or you have a service that you want to earn from and you're looking into a side hustle or self-employment, then this video is perfect. If you're new here, hi, my name is Sabina. On this channel, I help people find their career purpose and build a life that they love. I mainly do this through numerology breakdowns and readings, but I also share my consciousness expanding insights to give you the mindset tools that you need to achieve success and achieve a life full of purpose. I also do it through a spiritual outlook, so if you're into that, then this video found you for a reason, and this is a sign that you're on your way to success. Before we begin, let me just introduce some of my work. So outside of this channel, I actually run an online belly dance school where I sell my belly dance courses, and I grew my Instagram page to 22k. So I'm very much in the game of selling a service, making content online, selling online, brand building, and I've been really focusing on that in the past 2 years, and I actually use a lot of spiritual insights to help me. So I am in this with you, and this is why I feel like I do have the knowledge and expertise and experience to talk about these things. So let's begin with the number one mindset shift. You see, the problem is that a lot of us creators or service providers, experts, we are so selfish. We are so focused on us achieving the success, us getting the clients so that we can get money. But we really need to shift our mindsets to focus on how are we changing other people's lives? What impact are we making? Are we giving back to the world? Is our service making the biggest impact it can? You see, it's so normal to get lost in the dopamine trap and the pursuit of dopamine, recognition, the likes, the money. Of course, why else would we want that if we didn't get pleasure out of it, if we didn't get fulfillment out of it? But you've got to pause and look at it from the side and understand that, quite frankly, everything is an exchange of value. And so when you stop thinking about, well, what can I get? How can I attract this client? How can I get more views and followers? Instead, focus on, okay, what do I need to give? What is the best possible thing that I can provide? Because only then will you finally get that recognition, get the money flowing in, get the reach or the traffic of clients. What a lot of us don't realize is that, yes, we may be really talented, really knowledgeable, and we feel like we need to be proud of that. We feel like we deserve so much money for it. Where are my clients? Where are my sales? But the reality is the reason you have these things is so that you can serve others. What you have is nothing if you can't make someone else's life better. And this is the problem. We think that we should just get money because we're good. But when we actually pour into that result that we give to others, that is when we are truly deserving of the money, of the sales and the followers, whatever you want. So yes, not only does this mindset apply to people that actually offer a service like a course or a consultation, this mindset is also important for artists, singers, dancers, actors, when they understand that the service they provide, the songs they sing, the movies they are part of, bring a big impact. Perhaps it really inspires someone and gets them through a difficult period, or it just gets someone out of the dullness of life and into the fantasy world through their movies. And so when you have that deeper intention of making someone else's life better, that is when everything will start to change. Another good way of looking at it is understanding that you're merely a vessel in the hands of God, the universe, whatever you want to call that. And you will be given more opportunities when you try and actually share this with the world to help it evolve, to help it grow, because you're actually doing it for the greater good and not just for your own ego, for the fame and the money. I think a lot of experts and creators understand that whatever they provide needs to be of high service, and as long as it's good or even above the average standard, and as long as the client is happy, then that's great. That's your job done. This deserves money. This deserves more reach. But I feel like we can go that extra mile, at least in our mindsets, and it all comes from understanding and picturing just how much of an impact you are making and your wish for this to really change the client's life. For example, let's say you're a Reels editor. When you make a reel, you don't just think, okay, I'll make an aesthetic reel that looks great, I'll pick the fonts, I'll make sure that the story tell is there and that it makes sales. Yes, that's all great. You can do it of high standard, but how about actually picturing, wow, this reel is going to make my client's brand stand out. It's going to convey their deepest mission and really change the lives of people. And my reel will make an impact and help the brand to grow. And I will help the brand to get even more money. There's always that deeper feeling and intention that you can have. And actually, this is great for manifesting for yourself as well, because then you start to think bigger and you start to really value your own work by actually focusing on providing more value. So let's say your service is just small and you think that actually it doesn't really make that much of an impact. I mean, yeah, I made this girl a design cover for her ebook, but no, actually, this has the power to really help that girl with her business, and that is her dream. And when you understand the depth that your work can bring, that will really help to get you into the mindset of going that extra mile, but also doing it with such love and deep expertise that what you create will genuinely be really highly charged with high vibrations, with great quality, and ultimately a lot of love. And this is the secret, hidden spiritual power of creating with intention, with purpose, and with your heart. And it's so easy to lose touch of that when you're in the game of the rat race and you're trying to get as many clients, you're trying to just get money, because we put the money and the viewers, the followers above the actual impact and the depth and the change that our service brings. The second mindset shift is understanding and knowing your natural talents and your strengths, because when you utilize those, when you work and provide your service, it will feel less like a transactional task that you need to execute to get money. It will actually feel like a deeper act of service that serves a higher purpose and that fulfills your mission on this earth. Again, to make other people happier, more successful, and bring value. The thing you need to understand is that we all come here with our innate gifts, with our strengths, and there is a certain type of transformation and value that we are able to give to people. And when we know these and actually utilize them in our services, then we reach our highest potential. And that is where our biggest money lies. That is where we finally start attracting clients that require that specific service, and more opportunities will open for you because you are finally giving the maximum that you can and bringing even more value. The beauty of understanding your strengths and natural ability is that you start to let go of the competitive mindset, because you understand that you bring a specific thing to the market and no one can take that away from you, and you will attract clients that require that specific thing. The more you know yourself, your strengths, your talents, the more authentic you will become, and you will form deeper relationships with clients. Because if you're for everyone, you're not really for anyone. But you can only know who you are for if you know exactly what it is that you offer. So, for example, my services are very much for people that are into spirituality or are at least open to that and are looking for answers that are not so obvious. They want to read in between the lines and think about the things that are unseen, like, for example, how our consciousness and mindset affect our services, our business. Whereas someone else could be very practical and they could coach people on making money online, but through really grounded steps, a strategy. Whereas I give more of that inner and spiritual work. I actually made a really useful numerology reading on this. So, using your day of birth, you can figure out what it is that you offer. What kind of a change and impact do you best bring to people? What is your brand archetype? So, what is the character and the talents that you carry? Because this is the most influential thing about you. You will also find out your brand archetype and the talents that you hold. And it's really important that you know this, because then you know exactly how to influence people, what to lead with, you know what you offer, and you can fuse that into your service. It will be linked here. As an example, let's take two dance teachers. One is more focused on helping people to come out of their shell and express themselves through drama and artistry, and the other is more focused on technique and that athletic ability, and they have a very structured and disciplined way of working, whereas the other one is more fun and is more engaging, and she really charges people with her emotions. They can offer the same kind of dance level, similar level choreographies, improvisation, but that little bit of edge that they have is what's going to set them apart and attract the ideal client for them. And it's really important that you are authentic and you align with what it is that you have naturally, because that will make you more high vibrational and more magnetic. I don't believe that you can be that successful if you try and sell things that you don't really have. Look, you can achieve something and train something, but I genuinely believe that if it's not really part of your natural innate strength, it's not going to be as effective. For example, if the dance teacher that is more athletic, organized, and structured in her head tries to lean more into that artistic and engaging and bubbly side of dance, she's not going to be as effective as the other one, because that is not her natural ability. And again, how do you find your natural gift? You can use tools like numerology. So I've linked a video. Make sure that you come back to it and watch it, because it has some very, very useful insights. And with this example, really here, it's not about competition. They don't need to think about competing with each other, because they have their own different ways of presenting the dance, and they offer a different transformation to each other. Yes, both are teaching dance, but it's not really about the dance, it's about what value, impact, and change you are giving to people. And even I'll say that if one of them feels like that a client actually is more suited to the other dance teacher, they better tell them and they better send it to the other dance teacher. So let's say the more artistic dance teacher sees that a student really wants to better their technique. They really want to become super technical in their dance, and they don't really care about the artistry side. She really does just need to send her to the other dance teacher, and by doing that she will attract even more abundance, because she has just given that student more value, and she cares more about that student's development than the money that she's going to get. So essentially she's placing the student's development and success over her own egoistical pursuits and intentions. The third and last mindset shift, but definitely not the least for today, is understanding that your money is here to make other people rich. Now let that sink in. This really blew my mind, but when I unpacked it, it made total sense. Your money by itself has little value. It's only what you can buy with that money that matters. And a lot of us are programmed and conditioned to try and hoard and save this money for ourselves, and a lot of us will try and buy the cheaper thing if possible. We are programmed to look for the better deal, the cheaper, how can I get more for less? But this is really limiting our money flow and repels opportunities, and here's why. Do you ever complain about people not being invested in your service, of people not wanting to spend money, of clients being stingy and trying to lower your fee? Well, you really need to look at yourself in this case. Do you do that? Do you tense up every time you see something that's a little bit more expensive, or perhaps you just don't like spending and you get upset every time you spend and see that there's less money in your bank account? You've got to understand that the science of money is really that constant flow. That is its purpose. Money likes to be spent because, like I said, what other purpose does money serve if it's not being spent, if it's not being transacted? And so, with that mindset, you really open up your channel of abundance. And you also start understanding that you can't raise your price if you are not ready to pay a high price yourself. You'll never be able to sell products for 500 if you never want to buy a product for 500. It's as simple as that. The same way you would like to be paid, you also need to like paying someone else and love the fact that yes, you're helping someone to prosper, you're helping someone's business, you're helping for this shop to stay open. How amazing is that? I love this shop, it provides me food. For example, I recently caught myself thinking that I go to a local store where I guess things are a little bit more expensive compared to if you go to one of those big stores where things are a little bit cheaper, but it takes me more time to get to the big store. And I just said to myself, I'm not going to just intentionally go to the bigger store just because it will save me money. Actually, I'm very grateful to this shop that's close to me. I'm grateful that I can get it in shorter time. It saves me time, and they're a smaller shop, smaller business, and I'm happy to support them. So, really think about how you feel when you pay. Do you feel like you're tense and you're sad and you're stressed and you're fearful that you won't have enough? Because that is what you're going to attract. Or do you embody more of the state of abundance, of a happy client that is happy to pay for a quality service and values other people's work? And so, as a thank you, is happy to pay them, and sometimes even happy to pay extra. So, guys, I hope you found this useful. Let me know in the comments which mindset shift was the most eye opening for you. I'd love to know your thoughts and experiences, and please do like and comment and subscribe, because then it knows that I am making an impact on you, and it will give me an incentive to carry on.